Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. So this morning we are going to discuss a very um, interesting topic, charming topic rather. The topic to be understood almost by everybody. Because of this topic is joy of union. So thing is that joy of union is there everybody and everywhere. There is there is an union, there is a union, and out of this union there is, of course, we are getting a joy. So joy of union, but thing is that by the side it is written the ordeal of the foreknowledge. Foreknowledge, we know the future knowledge is an added pain. So this foreknowledge they partially from one part of view. Savitri knows, of course, this is a foreknowledge for her. She knows what is going to happen later. A, 12 sweet wings months are given to him and her this day returning Satyavan must die. So this is the foreknowledge only that life now individually, though both life of both are linked in the individually chains, individually linked. They know, but thing is that it is the matter of only 12 months. Though that ordeal, how to overcome it, this ordeal of the foreknowledge, how to overcome it. So this ordeal, this great ordeal has to be overcome, and in one side it is the joy of union, and second side that is the ordeal of the foreknowledge. How this is actually aggravating, how this is making a compromise, that is the point to be noted, and it has to be seen in very clear letters. Anyway, so we are in this path, in the session of this Savitri summarization, we are discussing book 7, Canto 2. So the book 7 Canto 1 rather, book 7 Canto 1, the joy of union, the ordeal of the foreknowledge, that is of course a small one. So this canto we are going to discuss. Of course we'll start reading few lines, then we'll try to go first the summarization. Fate followed her foreseen immutable road. You know, fate is for 12 months. Matter is actually not more than 12 months. It is almost confined to only 1 year or so called 12 months. Fate followed her foreseen immutable road, road that is immutable and foreseen. Man's hopes and longings build the journeying wheels that bear the body of his destiny, and led his blind will towards an unknown goal. Just imagine, blind will it is led towards unknown goal. Goal is unknown and will is blind. His fate within him shapes his acts and the rules. His fate within him shapes his acts and rules. Its face and form already are born in him. Face and form are already born in him. Its parentage is in his secret soul. So again, we can find that beautiful thinking, that description on the free will. Most of the time, we get a comparison between this fate and fee will. How does really it works? That is a great thing. Sri Aurobindo it quotes and tries to, within a couple of lines, Sri Aurobindo tries to differentiate how they are linked, how they are differentiated, and how they are interlinked. Sri Aurobindo quotes here, here matter seems to move the body's life. Matter seems to move the body's life, and the soul follows here its nature's drives. Soul follows here its nature's drives. Nature and fate here. Nature and fate both compel his free will's choice. Not able to follow your free will. Nature and fate compel his free will's choice. That is common parameter for almost for everybody, but some people are there it is not applicable. For greater spirits this balance can reverse, but for greater spirits this balance can reverse and make the soul artist of his fate, because in the most of the things a soul has come carrying with it body, mind and life as their instrument. But suppose the mind, life and body, they are supposed to be the instruments of the soul. They have been designed, fabricated and carried forward by the soul, but here they are actually dominating, and the soul is almost in a passive stage, hidden, concealed behind the veil. But for greater spirits, this balance can reverse and make the soul the artist of its fate. This is the mystic truth our ignorance hides. Our ignorance hides this mystic truth. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Doom is a passage for our inborn force. Our ordeal is the hidden spirit's choice. Our ordeal, that's what we are going to discuss in this topic. The joy of union, the ordeal of the foreknowledge of death, and the heart's grief and pain. Very long caption we can find. This is actually book 7, canto 1. The joy of union, the ordeal of the foreknowledge of death, and heart's grief and pain. So our ordeal is the hidden spirit's choice. Ananke is our being's own decree. All was fulfilled, the heart of Savitri, everything was fulfilled in her heart. All was fulfilled, the heart of Savitri, flower sweet and adamant in one side. Passionate and calm, another side, had chosen, and on her strength's unending road, forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. Again, what is happening really in the real scenario? Here in the quotes here, once more she sat behind loud hastening hoops. Once more means before also she had sat. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoops. A speed of armored squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. Then we can find region and region spacious in the sun, cities like chrysalides in the wide blaze. And yellow rivers passing lion-manned led to the Salwa marches, emerald line. The description you can find about the Salwa, that kingdom, nature's description. A happy front to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and titan solitudes. Madran we have already seen, now itself it is Salwa. So once more was near the fair and fated place from where she parted after choosing Satyavan as her partner, mate and partner. She went forth towards her father's palace, now returning back to Salwa. So the borders gleaming with the group's delight, where first she made the face of Satyavan. This description about the Salwa nature's description we can find here. And he saw like one waking into dream some timeless beauty and reality. That you can remember how the destined meeting place, that Mahamilan and everything was held. Again, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child, Satyavan. The moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child, the past receded and the future neared. The past receded and the future neared. Far now behind lay Madra's spacious hills. Madra is left far away. The white carved pillars, just imagine how the two countries, two kingdoms have been compared. The white carved pillars, the cool, calm, dim alcoves, the tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the wind-repelled pools, and gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Just this is Madra, and initially we have seen Salwa. So we can find the fountain splash in the white stone-bound pool, the thoughtful noontides brooding solemn trance, the colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve. So you can find later so many descriptions are there. We want to actually skip up because this is the session for summarization. Anyway, Sri quotes again later. A regal pillar of fallen mightiness, a regal pillar of fallen mightiness, and the stately, careworn woman, once a queen, who now hoped nothing for herself from life. That human mother, who now hoped nothing for herself from life, but all things only hoped for her one child. That is what the human mother of Satyavan, wife of Dimotsan, calling on that single head from partial fate, all joy of earth, all heaven's beatitude. Again, she saw him loved by heaven as by herself. That a fine comparison, fine description. She saw him loved by heaven as by herself. She rejoiced in his brightness and believed in his fate, and knew not of the evil drawing near. because she is unaware. Only in the ordinary consciousness she is living. She does not have that ordeal, that for knowledge she does not face. She knows not. Only praying and hoping and aspiring for all the goodness. Say again, all put behind her that was once her life, put behind all spacious halls of Father's kingdom, that greatness, that riches, everything. Shall put behind was her that was once her life. All welcomed that henceforth was his and hers. Welcomed henceforth his and her. She abode with Satyavan. Then there is no more description in between. Anyway, she abode with Satyavan in the wild woods. Priceless she deemed her joy so close to death. Priceless she deemed her joy so close to death. Apart in with love she lived for love alone. Not the ordinary human love, but for the this is so-called divine love. As if self-poised above the march of days, her immobile spirit watched the haste of time. Spirit immobile. Time, haste of time. A statue of passion and invincible force, an absolutism of sweet imperious will. A tranquility and a violence of the gods, indubitable and immutable, we can find here. Whatever we have gone so far now, we'll try a little bit to summarize, then we'll go for the next part of the description. The joy of union, the ordeal of the foreknowledge of death, and the hurt of grief. So we can find heart of grief. That is the great description. We keep remembering, we keep reading here. Of course, we keep reciting grief and the pain. Savitri insists upon her choice, adamant. She has once my heart chooses not again. She is adamant and insists on her choice, and the fate follows her unchanging road. Fate's road is unchanging, it follows. Ultimately, fate is the choice of the soul. Ultimately, fate is the choice of the soul, because here, will, the divine will, it is the will of Savitri that is final. Once again, Savitri sets out in her chariot. She has to go back to the the Satyavan's thatched hermitage, where this union, this marriage, and all everything has been held. Accompanied by an armored escort, she hastens across the fields. Armored escort, she hastens to the fields, cities, and rivers under summer skies. Fields, cities, and rivers under the summer skies till they arrive at the forest border, where she had first met Satyavan. To that wonderful realm, wonderful land she is returning across. Fields, cities, and rivers under the summer skies. Armored escort is accompanying her. She is following. Again, then they take a narrow path to the hermitage of the blind king Dumosen. Narrow path, because they are exiled, outcast, exiled, once a mighty king, blind also. So this the thatched hermitage, they are running through a narrow path, and the queens now exiled. Where king and queen are exiled. The retinue leaves Savitri at her destination and return most reluctantly, because she has been armored. This guard, they are reluctantly leaving, and because she is coming from the big palace armored, so we have seen the description. So reach palace towards the hermitage of the groups of the hermitage, jungle hermitage, hermit life is returning. Savitri is filled with a great happiness in the company of her husband Satyavan. Natural. So fast choice, fast approval, and of course fast attraction. It is not common. It is common to all, but Savitri is different, because here nothing relates to the place or nerve or greed or so-called human attraction. Nothing is like this. It is all. Everything is divine, because she is the incarnation of the Supreme. Day and night they are one in their fairy love. Don't take it in a human measure or human thought or human idea. Day and night they are one in their fairy love, but soon summer is followed by rains. Dance of seasons, summer is followed by rains. Under the darkened sky with storm and thunder or raging. So we can find storm and thunder in the sky. Savitri feels the grip of all the world coming to her, and fear strikes the human heart. Because ordeal, the foreknowledge, everything is there in her mind. Only 12 sweet months, moving the months. Summer is gone and the rain is on the way. She is reminded of the fatal date set by Narada for for Satyavan's death. She is well aware, she knows, she can remember well, and naturally, fear strikes her human heart that fatal date is actually coming closer. We'll try to read it little bit, then we'll see. At first to her, beneath the sapphire heavens, the sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream. Silver solitude was a gorgeous dream. An altar of the summer's splendor and fire. We have seen that summer was on the way. So we can. There is a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a chrysoprase on velvet cloth, a nestling darkness or a moonlit deep. Just imagine. Day, that was a night description of night, and day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a wave of laughter of light from morn to eve. Then what about their union? His absence was a dream of memory. His presence was the empire of a god. His absence was a dream of memory. His presence was the empire of a god. A fusing of joys of earth and heaven. A tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture past. A rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame. So just imagine how this great union is getting on. And of course, it is written in the romantic words of Sri Aurobindo, who is a Mahayogi. So everything relates to the spiritual union. And then rain. Rain played sobbing over the dripping leaves, and the storm becomes the forest titan voice. Rain is coming, we can know, we can find. Then the moments, swift and ruthless rest. The moments, time is rushing fast, it is too swift. Swift and ruthless rest alarmed her thoughts, her mind remembered Narada's dates. That was what we were now seeing now. A throbbing mood accountant of her riches, she reckoned the insufficient days between, reckoned the insufficient days in between. Then a dire expectancy knocked at her breast. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hour. Time is kicking away. It is actually tickling away. It is running fast. Grief came, a passionate stranger to her gate. Grief came, a passionate stranger to her gate. Vanished when it's in his arms out of her sleep. It rose at morn to look into her face. Vainly she fled into the abysms of bliss from her pushing for sight of the end. Then we can find something different later. In mind a stranger, though in heart so fair, the ignorant smiling world go happily by. Ignorant smiling world go happily by, but she knows the foreknowledge. She has the foreknowledge. She knows the fate. That is what the difference between the rest of the world and her. Again, they, confident of the returning sun, they wrapped in little hourly hopes and tasks. Hourly hopes and tasks, they are happy, they are actually confined. But she, in her dreadful knowledge, was alone. This is the difference between the entire world having no knowledge, ignorance, and of course here Savitri with the foreknowledge of death and pain. The rich and happy secrecy at once enshrined her as if in a silver bower. So these the things it is coming too fast upon her. Then we can find a body seeing the end too soon of joy. A body seeing the end too soon of joy and the fragile happiness of its mortal love. Fragile happiness of her mortal love. Her quiet visage still and sweet and calm. Her quiet visage, still and sweet and calm, her graceful daily acts were now a mask. In vain she looked upon her depths to find a ground of stillness and the spirit's peace. Everything is turbulency, things are coming thick and fast. Still veiled was from her was the silent being within who sees life's drama pass with unmoved eyes. So veiled, still it is veiled, spark of the divine, it is there kept inside the heart. Again, Defenseless, nude, bound to her human lot, they had no means to act, no way to save. These she controlled, nothing was shown outside. These she controlled, nothing was shown outside. She was still to them the child they knew and loved. Everything is there. Time is actually kicking away. Now it is too swift. Ordeal of foreknowledge strikes the innocent heart. Still, then she is same, unmoving. Nobody is finding any little bit of course, in the demarcation or difference in her daily actions. The sorrowing of man they saw not within. No change was in his beautiful motion seen. No change was in her beautiful motion seen. A worshipped empress all once vied to serve. A worshipped empress. Worshipped empress. Just on you imagine how she is described. All once vied to serve, she made herself the diligent serf of all. She made herself the diligent serf of all, nor spared the labor of broom and jar and well, or clothes gentle tending, or to heap the fire of altar and kitchen. No slight task allowed to others that her woman's strength might do. Did everything, bore everything. She was silent, immobile, immutable. So nothing is happening. Nobody can find any difference. But she is having all the foreknowledge. That is the difference between the ordinary world and ordinary human being and Savitri. In all her acts, a strange divinity shone. Into the simplest movements she could bring a oneness with Earth's glowing robe of light, a lifting up of common acts by love. Then comes the beautiful description on love. Her love. All love was hers, and its one heavenly cord bound all to all with her as golden tie. But when her grief to the surface passed so close, too close, when grief is coming to the surface, these things, once gracious adjuncts of her joy, seemed meaningless to her, a gleaming shell, or were a round mechanical and void, her body's actions shared not her by her will. Then, here in the quotes here, always behind this strange divided life, here and there, both there is a enigma, there is a contrariety, there is a puzzle. Always behind the strange divided life, her spirit like a sea of living fire. Her spirit, like a beautiful comparison, spirit like a sea of living power, possessed her lover and to his body clung. All one locked embrace to guard its threatened mate. Then what is how the time is actually rolling for them. At night she walked through the slow silent hours. At night she walked through the slow silent hours, brooding on the treasure of his bosom and face. Hung over the sleep-bound body of his brow, or laid her burning cheek upon his feet, waking at dawn. That was the night scenario. And of course, on waking at morn, her lips endlessly clung to his, unwilling ever to separate again, or lose that honeyed train of lingering joy, unwilling to lose his body from her breast, the warm, inadequate sign of that love must use. Just imagine how that divine union, spiritual union is taking place. That is a great union for already round the clock. There is a safeguard, there is a divine guarding against around Satyavan. Her passion catching at the fugitive hours willed the expanse of centuries in one day. Expanse of the centuries in one day of prodigal love and the surf of ecstasy. That's what we can find. Even by his strange embrace unsatisfied, still in the course, her soul secluded sought into his soul. After all was given, she demanded still. Even by his strong embrace, unsatisfied, she longed to cry, "O tender Satyavan, O lover of my soul, give more of love, while yet thou canst." Because he knows the foreknowledge, anything might, any time, anything can happen. To her thou lovest. Imprint thyself her every nerve to keep that thrills to thee the message of my heart. Then actually she tries to express something that is gloriously written here. But soon we part, we part, and who shall know how long before the great wheel in its monstrous round restore us to each other, our love, and each other and our love. Just imagine, too well she loved to speak a faithful word, and laid her burden on his happy head. She pressed the outsurging grief back into her breast, to dwell within, silent, unhelped, alone. Then what is the scenario really, what is the reaction of Satyavan, we'll see later. We'll try to summarize a little bit whatever we have read so far. Savitri tries to forget her grief by flights into the bliss of love, but all in vain. Tries to forget her grief by flights into the bliss of love, but no, in vain. Each day that passes brings the peril nearer. Each day that passes, that page, actually that is bringing the peril nearer and increases her sorrow. She keeps the pain to herself. She keeps the pain to herself and watches the world go happily by unconsciousness of her unknown doom. World does not know. The known doom for them is unknown, and everything goes happily by. She goes through all her household duties gracefully. Nothing is left for others that her woman's strength might do. And quietly, gracefully and quietly, pressing back her grief when it surges up to her bosom. When the grief is surging up, she is trying to press it down and doing all these things gracefully and, of course, happily. Then what happens? Her life is thus divided. Already we have seen, we have discussed that his contrariety is there. We can find her life is thus divided. She draws upon her conjugal love to its utmost, enjoys the conjugal love to the utmost. So-called conjugal love, you don't take it in the human way. Then fusing the body and the soul together in ecstasy. This is the second part that we can take in the correct way. Fusing the body and soul together in ecstasy. Though she does not express the inner grief, Satyavan senses it in some way and gives himself freely to her. Have understanding, because he is not having the foreknowledge idea of the foreknowledge. He does not know. But her thirst is not quenched. Her secret sorrow gathers force as the days pass on. Secret sorrow gathers force as the days pass. Her inner strength is not yet in evidence. Inner strength is not in evidence. An air of resignation comes over her, being in grief. The air of resignation, time has to go. The air of resignation comes over her, being in grief. Again, we can find few lines, we will quote few lines. Still in the quotes. All was too little for her bottomless need. If in his presence she forgot a while, grief filled his absence with its aching touch. So just imagine, everything is inadequate, insufficient, and too little. She saw the desert of her coming days, because 12 months, you can remember. Desert of her coming days, nobody will be there, Satyavan will be no more, she knows. Imaged in every solitary hour, although with a vain imaginary bliss of fairy union through death's door of escape, she dreamed of her body robed in funeral flame. She dreamed of her body robed in funeral flame. She knew she must not clutch that happiness. Very interesting. Happiness, it can't be clutched, she know. And she dreams as if she is in the robed in funeral flame. To die with him and follow, seizing her robe, across our other countries, travelers glad into the sweet or terrible beyond. She is feeling, dreaming, expecting, not able to finalize anything now. She dwelt like a dumb priest with hidden gods. Dwelt like a dumb priest with hidden gods, unappeased by the wordless offering of her days. Just listen how great description is there. She dwelt like a dumb priest with hidden gods, unappeased by the wordless offering of her days, lifting to death them her sorrow like frankincense, her life the altar, herself the sacrifice. So then what is happening later? Her conscious spirit walked with him and knew. Conscious spirit walked with him and knew his actions as if in herself he moved. He, but Satyavan less aware, thrilled with her from afar. Always the stature of her passions grew. Grief, fear became the food of mighty love. The great line has been described here. Grief, comma, fear became the food of mighty love. It is handicapping in no way. So, then we can find immortal it walked unslayable as the gods, her spirit stretched measureless in strength divine. Immortal it walked unslayable as the gods, her spirit stretched measureless in strength divine, and unfilled for the blows of fate and time. Just imagine. Some deed in which it might forever cease, victorious over itself and death and tears. Then towards the end, Sri Aurobindo quotes, the year now paused upon the brink of change. 12 sweet wings months, it is on the brink of change. No more the storms sailed with stupendous wings, and the thunder stored in wrath across the world. Things are changing fast. But still was heard a muttering in the sky, still was heard a muttering in the sky, and the rain dripped wearily through the mournful air. Again, the new season starts. This year is on the verge of collapsing, taking a one voice, a farewell. And the grey, slow ship drifting clouds sought in the earth, so her grief's heavy sky sought in her heart. So her grief's heavy sky sought in her heart. A still self hid behind, but gave no light. In between, a long path had been overpassed. There was a time for quest. There was a Mahamilan, and there was, of course, a joy of union. Everything is turbaned with a doubt. Now things are coming to the negative and almost towards the bottom line of the but it is everything on the bottom line. Then actually, no voice came down from the forgotten heights. No voice came down from the forgotten heights. Only in the privacy of its brooding pain, her human heart spoke to the body's fate. Let us summarize in one or two lines. The allotted year approaches its end. That is what already we have seen. The allotted year that was allotted to both, not only to Satyavan, but both, approaches its end. Rain clouds sought in the earth. It started with rain, now itself once again rain, and the heavy cloud of her grief sought in her heart. So this is the scenario we can find in our brief discussion. I will try to quote last two lines at least. No voice came down from the forgotten heights. Only in the privacy of its brooding pain, her human heart spoke to the body's fate. That is the scenario really we find here, and we are waiting for. This was the day, this is the scenario, this is the joy of the union that is end, the ordeal of the foreknowledge. That is what also it is clearly visible in our naked eyes, ordeal of the foreknowledge of death and the heart's grief and pain. Later we are going to almost observe that brilliant discussion that is waiting to the next site. Of course, in the next session, we can find the parable of the search for the soul. For now, let us stop here. This is the we can estimate something in normal vision because they don't have the foreknowledge, the ordeal, nothing is there. They are ignorant, unconscious, the normal. Like this world goes on. Now itself, it is totally different. Spiritual knowledge, spiritual union, spiritual fate, free will, and of course, there is a great adventure. It is awaiting. Vande Mataram.